Today we worked on solving radical equations. So there's a few steps that we did, and this paper is what we did in class today. The first step that we have for both of these problems is to go ahead and isolate the radical by itself. When I say isolate the radical, that means get this part that is underneath the radical on the side by itself. And I would just leave it on the side that it's on. So I have a plus 1 over here. So to get rid of plus 1, I'm going to subtract 1. So I'm left with the square root of 2x plus 1 is equal to x minus 1. So that's the first step for the left side. Now the right side, I kind of do the same thing, but in this case I'm going to subtract x from both sides. I'm left with 5x plus 1 on this side, and then 7 minus x on the other side. So, step 2, it says to square both sides. And so, I'm going to square both sides. And when I square the side with the square root, it undoes the square root. So, I just drop the square root and it becomes 2x plus 1 is equal to, and then I have to square x minus 1. When I say square x minus 1, I say multiply the quantity x minus 1 by itself 2 times. Okay, same thing over here. I end up with 5x plus 1, and in this case I have 7 minus x times 7 minus x. Now, from this point, I'm going to FOIL, and it becomes 2x plus 1 is equal to x squared minus x plus 1. So I'm going to simplify. Okay. And over here on the right side, I do the same thing. I do 49 minus 7x plus x squared. Okay, and then I'm going to combine like terms. And I'm going to also write it in standard form, because that makes a little bit more sense to me that way. Okay. So the next step I do is I'm going to make sure that I have 0 on one side and all of my x values on the other. So I'm going to subtract 2x and subtract 1. Subtract 2x and subtract 1. So I'm left with 0 is equal to x squared minus 4x. And when I combine negative 2x and negative 2x, it equals negative 4x. When I combine positive 1 and negative 1, it's equal to 0. So I will just leave that how it is. And at this point, I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides and subtract 1 from both sides. So I have 0 is equal to x squared minus 19x plus 48. Okay, so now I'm going to factor my problem. And so I can see that both of these terms have x in them. So x squared divided by x is x minus 4. So at this point, I set x is equal to 0. That's this part. And I set x minus 4 is equal to 0 and solve for x. So I have 2 solutions here. And I have to see, are both possible solutions or is just one? And that's what number 4 says. It says check each and every solution in the original equation. So I check to see if when I plug in 0 up here, if it makes it true. So we have 1 plus the square root of 2 times 0 plus 1 is equal to 0. And in this case, it's the square root of 1 is equal to 0. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 0, and 2 does not equal 0. So that is not a solution. Now, let's check to see if 4 is a solution. So if 1 plus the square root of 2 times 4 plus 1 is equal to 4. I solve. When I simplify, it becomes a square root of 9. 1 plus 3 is equal to 4, and so 4 is equal to 4. So it is a solution. So my only solution to this problem is x is equal to 4. So that's what it means by clearly state your solutions. So the only solution is x is equal to 4. X is equal to 0 is not a solution. So moving on over to this side, I'm to the point where I can factor, because I have a quadratic equation over here, and it actually works where I can use x factor. So it's 48 and negative 19. It ends up being negative 3 and negative 16. So I have 0 is equal to x minus 3 times x minus 16. So I'm going to solve x is equal to 3 and I have x minus 16 is equal to 0, so x is equal to 16. Now, I plug these solutions back into the original equation. So I have 3 plus 5 times 3 plus 1 is equal to 7. So I have 3 plus the square root of 16 is equal to 7. 3 plus 4 is equal to 7, and 7 is equal to 7. So yes, this is a solution. Now let's see if 16 is a solution. I have 16 plus 5 times 16 plus 1 is equal to 7. So I have 16 plus square root of 81 is equal to 7. And in this situation, 16 plus 9 does not equal to 7. So therefore, 16 is not a solution, and the only solution I have is x is equal to 3. This is how I do these problems every single time. Now, tonight for homework or for your help, you can work on these problems on the back. So if I have it in this situation, I'm just going to square both sides. And so then I'm left with 3v is equal to 2v plus 1. Subtract 2v, and v is equal to 1. And then I plug it back in to make sure the square root of 3 is equal to the square root of 3, and it is true. And that's how you do all of the problems on this side. Hopefully that'll help you do your homework tonight.